Is that a GTR? What the fuck?
Designed to impress.
Today I'm working on a Nissan GTR, it's an R35, and we're putting in airbag suspension all around with the Airlift Performance bag assemblies and Accuair Elevel Plus with the CVT tank. Originally I was just wanting the standard Accuair system or the Elevel system, not the Elevel Plus, but because Accuair went bankrupt, it was hard to get a hold of the standard Elevel system, and they only had Elevel Plus in stock. Now that in itself raises a few issues. Basically here in Australia we need to have a handbrake lockout so that you can't manoeuvre the vehicle or you can't adjust height when in motion, so essentially when the handbrake's off. And that's just so that you can't air out the car because we have to maintain 100mm driving height at all times. So that is going to be a bit of an issue with the Elevel Plus system, because essentially the way it was set up is that you have to have the app to be able to turn on and manipulate a lot of the features, and because of the bankruptcy, the app never got fully released. So in a little bit of a pickle there, but it won't be too much of an issue. I'm just going to make an interface or a module essentially that communicates using the handbrake pulse to disengage the power to the touchpad. So that way the height sensors and everything will still work, so right on startup and all that sort of stuff, but as long as the handbrake is off, there won't be any power to the touchpad. So that's later on down the track once the bags are actually in, and then the actual touchpad itself is going to be mounted in the center console fascia or the gear surround. So we've got to cut that up and mold that, as well as install front and rear cameras, or finish installing the front and rear cameras, because it's already got a rear camera put in and ran to the aftermarket head unit. And an aftermarket head unit's been fitted, but it hasn't been finished. It's just sort of thrown in there because they ran out of time. So I've got to make brackets for that and a custom fascia surround so it all blends in and looks like it's meant to be there. And then, yeah, this thing will be done. So to start off now, let's get the bags started by mounting the CVT tank. And this has a full boot install for being an MTX vehicle, so it's got a full custom boot install, so there's no room, well, there is room for the tank, but we don't want to take away any looks from the boot install because of it's not a huge boot and the tank would just be plonked there. So the tank's going underneath the car where the old mufflers used to be. So we've got a bit of room under there, so I've got to make some custom brackets and bolt the actual tank in. So let's get started by bolting that tank in. got the tank all mounted up under here now with that bit of a custom bracket to bolt it all up to factory locations without having to drill any holes or anything. So now off this piece here, which holds the back bash plate or cover or whatever you want to call it, holds that on. We can mount up a couple more brackets to hold the ECU in here. So gone ahead and nut inserted a couple of M5 nut certs into the bracket, and then we'll be able to bolt that up through here and then mount the actual ECU to a CNC'd bracket or plate, and then that bolts to that and then that bolts to this. So this is a bit loose right now, but once we put the bash plate on and put these other sides on and bolt that through, that's all real sturdy. So we'll go ahead and get the ECU all mounted and then start getting it wired up. So I've gone ahead and ran all of the airlines and sensor wiring all the way up to the front. Basically just ran it along where the fuel lines go, so it's sort of tucked up out of the way. It's not the lowest point of the vehicle, so nothing will hit. And there's a few covers along the front where it meets across the front member there, and yeah, distributes to the left side and the right side for the two different airlines. So yeah, all tucked up out of the way, nothing will hit. When the bash plates that go on, everything's all hidden and whatnot. So Everything's tucked away neatly and we're ready to now put the bags in. So the rear bags are in, and we can see here where I've mounted this bracket. We've got this little bracket I put in here, and we drilled a hole straight through this upper arm, and that's got no stress on it right through the center because the webbing on the outside is actually hollowed out in the center, so that'll have no issue in terms of structural integrity on the actual upper arm because of the webbing on the side. So drilled a nice little hole right in the middle where we can bolt this bracket in and then get our arm up to our sensor here. So just a neat little way to get the sensor in because there's not much other options available for this vehicle. So yeah, that's how that's all bolted in. Right, so now we're going to put the front bags in. So first off, we're going to remove the factory shocks and then obviously bolt the bags in, and then mount the height sensor here down to the lower arm and get all the height sensor and wiring and all that ran and bolt it through. So go ahead and get these shocks out. So the front strut's all bolted in now, the bag assembly, and now it's time to get our height sensor mounted to the vehicle and to the lower arm as well. So same as the back, just drill a little hole through the center so it won't affect the structural integrity of it, because there's big webbing on the side, so it's sort of like an I-beam essentially. So all the force comes from second moment of area based on that structure. So through the center will be absolutely fine, won't affect any strength in the metal or the assembly. So drill a little hole through there, make another bracket up, and then we can bolt the sensor rod arm to the little bracket that we're going to bolt through that bottom arm. So we'll go ahead and get all that drilled out and bolted through, and I'll show you when it's finished.
A few moments later.
So the high sensors are in, so basically to do that, as we said earlier, drill a hole in the lower arm, and then lift the suspension all the way to full travel and drop it back down to the lowest height. And that way we get the sweet spot of where the sensor's got to go and which hole to put the rod in the sensor arm so that it gets its max travel or close to max travel. So that's all done. So now we can go ahead and put the wheels back on and calibrate the system. So now that the bags are in and we've got the vehicle off the hoist, we can now calibrate the system and set all our ride heights and lowered height and min and max and all that sort of stuff. So we'll go ahead and run the auto calibration and then fine tune each individual height that we need for each wheel. So that's it, the bags are all in for the GTR. Now it's just a touch up on the aesthetics for the interior. So we're actually mounting the controller, the hand controller, into the dash surround, or around the gear stick surround. And got to do a front and rear camera, and then make a custom fascia and brackets for the aftermarket head unit that's already installed in the car that they didn't get time to get all that finished. So yeah, I've just got to do that and make this custom fiberglass surround and get it all painted, and then the car will be done. So we'll save that for the next episode, and then at the very end, once it's all done, I'll do a full little segment showing all the airbags and the interior and everything, and as one sort of final release video. So don't worry if you didn't see enough of it now, because there'll be more coming out once I finish the rest of it, and we'll actually do a full proper video of the whole system, and yeah, show off the car a little bit more. So stay tuned for the next episode.